Hey folks, Corey Knapp here, your big bald Azure guy. Welcome back. It is Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, March 9th, 2024. Welcome to our personal branding for cloud professionals workshop. As always, let's get the intro out of the way. See you in 30 seconds. Hey folks, like I said, welcome back to our personal branding for cloud professionals workshop. I am joined by my special guest. Trixie's in the background here sleeping. She might be snoring every once in a while. If any of y'all have problems hearing me, let me know. If you can hear me, give me a shout in the comments, whatever we got going on here. Like I said, it is March 9th. So what I want to talk about tonight is something called personal branding. Let me just bring up my screen here real quick so you can see. I actually have slides for you guys tonight. If I can bring it up. There it is. So there's our intro. Personal branding for cloud professionals. My name is Corey Knapp. I am your big bald Azure guy. Personal branding to me is something that needs to be started as soon as you're trying to start your career. It's one of those things that some people get, some people don't. But if you get it wrong, it can really affect your career in the long run. So what I'm here to do is help those help those cloud professionals, security professionals, whatever you are. Try and kick things kicked off on a right foot, or upgrade your presence so that people really know who you are. So let's go to the next one here. And what we're going to cover today is what what you guys should learn by the end of the sessions. I mean, we're going to look at how to use LinkedIn for personal branding. We're going to be looking at how to showcase your expertise on GitHub, things like that. Let me just move my screens around here because it's getting a little confusing. Plus, I can't look at the camera like I want to. So, and I also want to emphasize a couple key points throughout this, so that way you know what to expect. Just so you know, every presentation we do here on the Big Bold Azure Guide channel will be available in our GitHub. I will put that link in the chat so you guys have access to that. Also up in the chat this week are our Azure role pathways and also our Cloud Basics Learning Pathways, which a few of you took advantage of this week. We've had a few visitors downloaded that and said, thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's start off with what is personal branding. Let's give you an exact definition. Let's just say it's the practice of marketing yourself and your career as a brand. It involves creating a unique identity, kind of a consistent image across various platforms, highlighting your skills, your experience, and your professional values. Think back to when artists had to go in for interviews. They had to bring a book of their art, a book of their graphics, a book of what they've done. Consider this part of this is your online resume, not just your resume you send off to an interview, to a recruiter, to things like that. This is showing as what you do, how you've grown in your career, how you're taking off your career. Let's start. For individual growth, it will set you apart in a very competitive industry. You know, IT is out there, certifications are out there, cybersecurity, cloud, database work, web development, front end, back end, full stack. Having a good personal brand will set you aside. Will set you apart from everybody else. And it showcases your unique skills and the expertise for those of you who are cloud professionals in your cloud technologies. Now, it will lead to better job opportunities. It will lead to better professional connections. And in the long run, industry recognition. People will know who you are based on what your personal brand is. It also helps in building trust and credibility with other peers, your employers, your clients, and it helps kind of establish you as a thought leader in your niche. So what you want to do as a cloud professional is you want to showcase specialized knowledge and certifications in different cloud platforms. Obviously, me, I'm the big bald Azure guy. That is my online persona. That is my personal brand. But obviously, other cloud platforms apply. Things like Azure, AWS, GCP. It's also very important. I want to emphasize how a role of personal branding is how the role of personal branding is in connecting with different cloud computing community people, sharing your knowledge, staying updated with industry trends, and having a digital footprint with a personal brand really reflects the expertise you do have in cloud technologies. I want to emphasize people should be doing blogging. They should be doing open source contributions. Man, I can't talk tonight. Having technical blogs, active participation. If you're an Azure guy or a gal, make sure you're participating in online community forums. Um, but I also want to make sure it's not just about self promotion, but it's a strategic necessity for any professionals, in this case, in the cloud computing industry. But it's about clearly communicating your value to the world. So let's move on to the next one here. Key elements. So let's talk about how to identify your unique value proposition, how to build your online presence, and certain networking strategies for for you guys and gals. Like I said, doesn't matter, guy, gal, whatever your shape, person, color. I don't care. You're all just as important to me. So let's get this out there off the bat. How do you identify what your unique value proposition is? I'm going to encourage you need to define your niche within the cloud industry, whether it's a specific tech like Azure, AWS, or Google, like I am Azure, or a particular skill set like cloud security, DevOps, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. I want you to be able to articulate what makes you unique in your field. This could be specific certifications, certain projects you've done, any problem solving skills that you have developed over the years, or if you're just starting out, you've got a college degree or you don't have a college degree. Say you're starting out from the food industry or the customer relations industry. Believe it or not, folks, some of those skills you pick up in those jobs are just as vital in having a long term career as certifications, cybersecurity skills, certified ethical hacking certifications, SANS Institute certifications, things like that. Soft skills are just as important as technical skills. So I want to stress the importance of those. Grab a sip of coffee here, real quick. Let's kind of go and change the screen here a little bit. Let's go there. I am down to the bottom. Um, so what I want you to do is starting off, or if you're, like I said, if you're continuing here, we want to skill up. So we want to build your online presence through professional platforms. It is very important that you have a very well crafted LinkedIn profile. It's very important that you have a GitHub repo if you're going to showcase projects, or you do a personal website or blog. You can do things like buying a domain fairly cheap now, setting up your own website. If you don't want to go that route, I like to keep things free, people. Let's do a Medium blog. You get a medium.com/ your handle name. It's free. You can post whatever you want online. And I encourage people who are learning how to do cloud or IT skills in general in the first place to blog what you've learned, what you've had trouble with, what you're having issues with, and reach out to those people out there in your industry for help. Um, but as you're doing these things on LinkedIn, GitHub, your blog, you need to be consistent in your messaging and your visuals across these platforms. I mean, so obviously you're not going to do yellow, gray, blue, white, purple, all over the place. Pick a personally branded color scheme. For me, I like to stick to the Azure brand stuff. You see it here in my up in the top corner here. In the bottom, we've got some blues, some Azure blues. I've got my big bald Azure guy icon up in the top right corner. And I like to keep my slides in a fairly dark, with a fairly dark cloud background with white on top of that. Makes it very kind of stark and contrasting and very easy to read and pleasing to the eye. Um, so, like I said, make sure your visuals are consistent. Make sure your messaging is consistent. If you are kind of an off the wall persona, if you want, let me actually get rid of my name here because then you can't see my face that well. And plus, y'all know who I am. So let's just take that off real quick. If I can show display name, there we go. So now you can see me a little easier. But I want to make sure that you keep things consistent. Don't write blogs one day from a standpoint of sheer lunacy and comedy and everything else to the next day being super professional, librarian like. And then you want to make sure it's consistent. If you are very outgoing, I'm like, I've got that kind of persona where I will just keep talking and trying to be funny and everything else. It doesn't always succeed. But what I want you to do is have a consistent tone. In my writing, I like to keep things very professional, but entertaining at the same time. So I want you to make sure that you identify what your niche is, what your role is, what your online persona is, and also make sure that that online persona matches who you are. Don't be disingenuous. Make sure that what you do is who you are. Nothing sells yourself better than honesty. If you are who you are, just suppose you're going for an interview. You can interview through all of these methods. And what happens? They read all this kind of off the wall, crazy stuff. They think you're hilarious. They think you're great. You get in for an interview and you're a little wallflower or bookworm. And they're like, who is this person? To me, then to them, then it shows, I wouldn't say mistrust, but okay, who is this person really? What are we really getting? So make sure you keep your consistent, make sure you keep your visuals, your messaging, and your online persona consistent throughout. The other thing I want to talk about here is, as part of being an online persona and having your own personal brand, you have to worry about content creation. As I said, starting out, this can just be about writing what's troubling you in your career, how you're having difficulty learning some skills, things like that. Um, but it could be things like writing articles on LinkedIn. Like I said, maintaining a technical blog, maintaining a blog about just hard things you've been studying, contribute to community forums, different discussions, engage with the active cloud communities that are out there, both online and offline. You can attend webinars, join cloud related groups on LinkedIn. Microsoft has a bunch, Amazon has a bunch, Google has a ton. And like I said, make sure you're trying to contribute to open source projects as much as possible, or at the very minimum, try to give back. Employers and people out there who see you giving back as much as possible to the community will really identify that as a person who either one wants to be a mentor if they've been in the field for a while, or wants to be a mentee. So you want to make sure that you're trying to build a meaningful relationship with people out there, not just I'm collecting um, connections on LinkedIn or Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. But it's very important to build relationships with those other professionals in the field, not just for potential job opportunities, but like I said, for mentorship, collaboration, knowledge exchange. And finally, we want to make sure that when we're using social media, use it wisely. Choose a platform that aligns with your professional goals and where your target audience is most active. For most of us, that will be LinkedIn. Some people really succeed on Twitter and X. Some people have Discord out there. Some people use Slack channels. It's all great. Just make sure you use it the right way of what it's intended for, and try not to be all over the place. Keep a consistent tone. And don't forget that every online interaction that you have will contribute to your personal brand, and it should reflect your professional image and your values. Um, Personally, I have my own set of political values, religious values, personal values. To me in my profession, those don't matter. I keep things open to everyone. And that's how I am in real life. But my point is, you want to keep personal things out of your professional image. Um, you can really draw up a lot of, let's just put it this way, you want to encourage people to connect with you, not discourage them. It doesn't help you to have a confrontational view out there. You want to be able to encourage people to come to you for questions. You want to answer their questions. You want to be able to have community responses and be engaging. It does no good to shut people down, shut people off. And as always, your online presence in any community should be part of what is considered a safe zone. You could be able to say what you want and have discussions and debates as long as they are encouraged to be professional. I love to disagree with people at my job online, but I will have constructive criticism, constructive feedback. Part of debating and the whole give and take of discussion is that you learn out of it. So to me, it's just as important to be continuously open to new ideas and new thoughts that are out there. And part of that, like I said, draws into continuous learning. It's very important to stay update with the latest trends in tech and cloud computing. We all know things change not just quarterly or yearly, they change monthly or even weekly sometimes. So I want to encourage you to continuously learn through different courses, certifications, self study. And like I said, personal branding isn't static. You will always have to adapt and evolve. I want you to adapt your branding as you grow professionally and as the industry evolves. You'll see more and more. Like I completely decided to reinvent my channel a few weeks back, and that's where we're kicked things off. Now we're doing courses like this, workshops like this. The AZ900 is going to come next week. That's going to be a 6-week course. I'm also going to focus on a lot of AI stuff. AI has really taken on our professional environment by storm. You guys are dealing with things like ChatGPT, Bing Chat Enterprise. What's the other one out there? Sora, movies and videos that can be created using AI. So as you learn new things, add them to your personal brand if you choose to. But also be aware that um, don't act like a expert when you're not. Come across humble. Say, I have questions about this, things like that. It's all about using this space, this personal brand of yours to grow and evolve into a true professional and a true guru who is always learning from others. So let's take a look at a couple things. Let's take a look at how we're going to leverage LinkedIn for your personal branding. Um, Number one, we want to optimize your profile. We want what kind of content strategy should we be using and how do we build and leverage your network? There's a couple things. Let me actually share out my profile so y'all can see it real quick. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go to linkedin.com. Of course, it helps if you actually use the correct browser. So let me do that again here. LinkedIn.com. And let me bring up my profile and I'm going to share this out with you as well. So let me present. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share this window temporarily. So you'll see here, this is my LinkedIn profile. We're going to close all our messaging down. We don't need that open right now. I've got some notifications. We can ignore them for right now. But what I want you to do when you're looking at your LinkedIn profile, if you haven't started out, go to linkedin.com, sign up. It's 100% free. There is a premium you can use. There is you can upgrade your plan for learning and other things, but the base LinkedIn is 100% free. I can't stress the importance enough of what a professional shot does, a professional photo conveying your approachability and professionalism. Um, I do different things. I put little big bald Azure guy emojis and icons up there once in a while, but my core image is always a picture of me. And this one's a little bit of a slight animated or painted looking picture of me, but that's who I am in essence. Um, if you have kind of weird and wacky things, I tend to leave them off. It's one thing if you're going to have a company logo up there for your company. It's one thing if you're going to be doing other things. I want to change it temporarily for the holidays, or especially if you're looking for work, you put the open to work banner around it. That's great. I'm all for it. Next thing I'm going to look at is you want they call it a compelling headline. Bottom line is, I want you to craft a headline. A headline means this right here, this piece right here in front of you. Mine says, Big Bald Azure Guy, Azure Infrastructure, DevOps, Security, Microsoft Certified Trainer, and Azure Career Coach. That is what I am. But I want it to also state not just your job title, but it should also highlight your experience or the unique value prop in the cloud industry. So obviously, Big Bald Azure Guy is my NUM diploma on here online and at work, funnily enough. But I am an expert in Azure Infrastructure, DevOps, security. I am a Microsoft certified trainer and I'm a career coach. So this says who I am, what I do, and what key certs or career choices I've made that show what I am. Some people put on here aspiring cloud engineer, aspiring, um, let's call it SOC analyst. Great. I tend to leave aspiring out of it just because if you're looking for a job and a lot of recruiters see the word aspiring and they think they're not ready. So I would put in there junior SOC analyst, or I would put in there junior cloud engineer or junior systems administrator. Um, be Say you are what you want to be. That's the way I look at it. You may have little experience, but you've got a degree. You may have little experience, but you've got 4 or 5 certs, along with a blog out there showing what you've done, along with a GitHub repo site showing the projects you've worked on. So to me, if you want to be a cloud architect, act like a cloud architect. Don't blow smoke. Don't try and fake your way through, But I see nothing wrong with trying to be the person that you want to be. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a lie. You are a SOC analyst. You just don't have that job yet. You are a systems administrator. You just don't have that job yet. Obviously, you're not going to put in there PhD candidate for artificial intelligence. That's a flat out lie. But if you want to be an engineer, you're a junior engineer, something along those lines. Detailed summaries, a little further down the list here, if I could find it. Excuse me. So I have different things on here. Here is a summary of who I am. Corey has 25 years of industry in the IT experience in the IT industry. Must seasoned cloud professional, training specialist, led, delivered multiple projects. I'm not going to go and do a 4-page write up, but quick 2 paragraphs is okay. Nothing's wrong with that. And also, you're going to put in here your experience. I work for another company as an infrastructure architect. I am the owner of Big Bald Azure Guy Training. I'm also working with another company on the side. Who my past employers have been, what my education is, and you'll put in your key licenses, your key certifications, different projects you've worked on. Be as thorough as possible. Pick some skills that you specialize in. If you have other people that are out there that can actually endorse you, they will. Ask for some recommendations. I've got some previous people that I've worked with who gave me great recommendations. I've given a few as well. Make sure you put your languages you speak. English is what I know, folks. I've taken a few classes and other things, but I'm not comfortable putting them on there. Any causes you want to support, put them in there. So these are all important things, but be as complete as possible. Let me go back here to remove that, and we will add our slides back up. And let's go back to our multiple screen. So how do you post content on LinkedIn? How do you post content on X or Twitter? Things like that. If everybody has any questions, please post them in the chat. I'd love to answer them real time for you. So I want you to focus on regularly sharing insights, news, trends about cloud computing, things that you've learned to establish kind of that thought leadership. I want people to get an idea of who you are out there and why they should be paying attention. They may connect with you. They may follow you. You can build up a little bit of a following, which is nice. So you have that to rely on. I will encourage you. Let me back on your LinkedIn profile. You can take a look, and you can, instead of just doing a post for a small text post, you can actually write an article where you can delve deeper into subjects, share experiences. You can offer advice related to your industry or people in your same situation. Um, and I also want to engage. I want to stress the importance of engaging with other people's content. It's nice to click on like for everything, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really stress who you are. If you're gonna hit like on something, maybe every other thing you hit like to, post a comment. This is inspiring, or things like that. I want it also fosters a sense of community and visibility as to who you are. Now, finally, on this slide, we're going to look at how to build and leverage your network. This is how to grow your group. Now, me, I've got just shy of 10,000 followers. A lot of that happened when I was a former trainer for Linux Academy and A Cloud Guru and Cloud Skills, and had a great time. People sought me out. But in the meantime, I got my first 2 or 3,000 followers from there. But in the meantime, I try and post regularly. I do a post probably once a day or at least every other day. I also have a newsletter that I post on here once a week about learning Azure. I do one for Azure new people and Azure senior folks. So as you're building and leveraging your network, I want you to strategically connect with different peers out there, mentors, leaders in the cloud computing field. Anybody out there wants to send me a connection, I will accept. To me, it's a way of giving back. I highly recommend that you recommend people on there you are connected with, who you've worked with, or endorse others to kind of build, let's say, that goodwill and strengthen those relationships. And it's also important to participate in groups that are out there. I think there is 100 group limit. I'm right around 97 or 98. And you can join groups, you can leave groups, whatever you want. Some of them are private, some of them are public. But I encourage you to participate in those groups related to cloud computing or tech or whatever your field is, to really expand your network and engage in meaningful discussions. There are a couple paid ones that you can do. You can do LinkedIn Learning, which is a great resource for continuous education, and not just cloud, but tons of things like personal branding, things like managing people, leadership skills, public presentations. Guys, if you'd known me 30 years ago, you'd say this guy can't speak in public for a lick. Now you can't shut me up. Practice, practice, practice. Um, and I said before, I want you to give regular updates on what you're up to on your profile. If you change your job, make sure you update your profile. If you get promoted, update your profile. Um, but be authentic at all times with everybody. Don't put on a act because then they'll come to see you and you're not that person, and then it doesn't resonate with the audience. So it's kind of tough, but you got to make sure you do it the right way. Excuse me. So moving on to our next slide, let's take a look at how you're going to showcase your expertise on GitHub. Obviously, go to github.com. This is in addition to a blog. You can go to github.com. Let me actually bring up GitHub here as well so we can take a look. And let's bring this up here. And let me share out the page here. So we will present. We're going to share our screen. And we're going to go to GitHub. This is the front page you get. You go to github.com. It brings up, what do you want to do? So we'll just say john.doe at, let's just say cloudsuperhero.com. Obviously, I'm not going to create this, but we're going to sign up for GitHub. And then it's going to ask you, welcome to GitHub. Let's begin with the adventure. So you enter your email, you say continue, you create a password, and then it'll start asking you a bunch of different things. And what it ends up giving you, let me actually sign in so I can show you what it gives you. If I could, I would. So let's do Corey at, this email is on my page as well, Corey at bigbaldazureguy.com. If I can, azureguy.com. And we'll log in. And you'll see I've got a couple of repos. I've got one here called Big Bold Azure Guy / Learning Paths. And these are the ones I talked about earlier. These are all for download for everybody. This is where I post my learning pathways, my Azure Cloud Role roadmaps. What I'm actually also going to do too is, in addition to that, I am going to create a repo. And we're going to do new, and we're going to call this one presentations. It's going to be public. I'll do a README later on, and we'll just create the repo. And when I am done, what you'll be able to see here, let me go back to Big Bald Azure Guy, and you'll see I've got two repos, presentations and learning paths. Learning path is where you'll find all my downloadable PDFs and my PowerPoint for my learning paths. And I'm also going to upload the PDF and PowerPoint for this presentation you're watching here now in presentations. I will also have a subcategory in here for certifications. So I will have an AZ900 folder in here that shows everybody what I've been working on. Excuse me. So what I encourage you to do is use GitHub kind of as a portfolio for your work, how you showcase your coding projects, contribute to open source, your collaborative efforts. You will see over the next few weeks, I do encourage people to at least dabble in code. You do not need to be a developer, but you should be able to understand what Python looks like, what JSON looks like, what Terraform looks like dealing with infrastructure as code, things like that. So there's different little projects you can contribute online, or you can create your own projects. I'm going to be posting some online labs eventually that you can do, and you can do little write-ups. You can actually clone the repo for yourself, do a write-up if you want. You can do a blog page. You can even do a GitHub page. So I encourage the creation. You'll see here on Big Bold Azure Guy, you see if I go to repos and learning paths, I have a README file. I always encourage everybody for each repo, have a README as to what it is. And this repo stores a collection of freely available cloud learning paths from Microsoft Azure, and in the future, other cloud platforms. And my 3 little rules. Please feel free to download and distribute them for personal use. I will never charge you for this information, and I will have labs and demos that will follow in the next 30 days that you can actually do yourselves and write about and spread to everybody else. So I definitely encourage that one. Make sure your repos are well documented. Make sure that you pin your most significant or relevant repos to your profile page. Like me, the most relevant ones for me are on Big Bald Azure Guy. I have pinned learning paths. So you'll see that when you go to my page. I also fill out the rest of my links, my LinkedIn profile, my top mate profile, if you guys want to schedule some time with me for one-on-ones, things like that. It's just good practice to really make sure that everything is documented properly. You can take a look at your contribution graphs, how much you've done, and also leverage GitHub for networking with other people. There are tons of other content creators out there that have a ton of information available that you can use for free. Use it as a learning platform. I encourage you guys to look at some of the trending repos to learn from the community and stay up to date with what's latest in cloud tech, things like that. Definitely undertake it for personal projects to solve real world problems. And I don't mean solving global warming. I mean, say you've got a collection of 150 vinyl records and you want to just create for fun a database using Azure or using a code that you can tag everything, take some pictures. You can update us on how you're doing things and how your development is coming on this certain project. And trust me, recruiters, hiring professionals, companies will love to see this kind of stuff because it shows you're out there exploring, shows you're out there learning, and also seeking help and giving help to the community. So, very important to have a great GitHub profile. Looking at the next one here, let me actually go back to the next slide. Blogging as a branding tool. Now, we kind of touched on this really quick, but I think it's important to highlight how blogging will significantly contribute to your personal brand. And as I said, I have a newsletter. Let me actually share that out so you can see that really quickly as well. So if I go to my LinkedIn and I take a look at my newsletters, I have one that I call the Azure Cloud Chronicles. I have 7 or 8, I think 7 is what I've published so far, and I get a fair amount of readers. I like doing it a lot. It takes me about a week to put every new issue out. And I started off with what I'm going to be doing. I started off the following week with continuous learning and then embracing lifelong learning. And then we started doing deep dives on advanced Azure networking, Azure storage, Azure compute, VMs, serverless. And then the most recent one I did was about Azure AI and machine learning. Some of them are very short, some of them are very long. And because a few of the last ones got very long, I've decided to break it into 2 newsletters, like I said, one for noobs and one for people who are seriously experienced and want to just dive into that next level of kind of stuff. But going back to the slides here, I want you to realize it doesn't have to be on LinkedIn. It can be your own. It can be on Medium. It can be your own domain that you put up your own website. But I want you to choose the right blogging platform that aligns with your skills and your professional goals. Like I said, there's Medium, there's dev.to, there's a personal website. And I want you to find a clear objective for your blog off the bat, whether it's sharing knowledge, whether it's displaying what you've worked on, whether it's displaying some of the issues you've had and you're seeking help, whether you want to connect this with other peers, whether you want to establish kind of thought leadership in your field. You can share insights on cloud industry trends, personal learnings. You know what? A great way to get people to follow you really quick is writing tutorials or guides on complex topics as you learn them. Um, Obviously, document any kind of personal project you're doing. And like I said, once you've been doing this a little bit, do some thought leadership. Give opinion pieces on where you think you see your industry going or on emerging technologies, things like that. Um, Promote your blog on social media and professional networks. Very important. If you want to get followers, you want to get people to join you, you want people to talk about your blog, talk about you. I want you to cross promote your stuff across LinkedIn, Twitter, other relevant social networks so you can really reach a wider audience. And I want you to engage with your readers as much as possible through comments, either on the blog, social media. Build a community around the brand. Um, like I'm in the process now of launching a Discord server for the Big Bald Azure guy because people have been talking here and there in the comments on the stuff I'm doing. And I said, you know what, let's put a central place together that people can get together and discuss things. I also want you to start learning about basic SEO best practices to kind of improve the visibility of your blog post in search engines. SEO is search engine optimization. There's a really quick trick I can teach you just to do this. ChatGPT we know is available. ChatGPT 3.5 is free. 4.0 you pay. I think it's $19 a month. Not a bad little thing. As always, I want you to really check everything that it gives you, but AI is a tool. We should be using it. So what you do is as you write your blog, bring up ChatGPT and do a cut and paste, put your blog that you're writing in there and say, "Hey, can you help me optimize this using SEO best practices or SEO words and hashtags to really improve the visibility of this post?" And it should give you either one, a rewrite, or two, system recommendations on what you can use to really draw people towards your post based on the words you're using and search engine optimizations. So definitely do that. The biggest thing about blogging is you have to have regular content. If you're going to post once tomorrow, March 10th, and not post again until June, and then post again in November, and then post again the following year, no one's going to follow your stuff. I recommend at the minimum start off once a month. As you start get rolling, do it once a week. You'll notice that it becomes very easy as you keep doing things. My blog was very tough to come up with an idea in the first week or two. And then as I started getting into my sixth or seventh blog and my newsletter, they kind of just write themselves. It becomes second nature to kind of continue off the last newsletter and continue from there. Um, what you can also do as you become more popular, you can do guest blogs with other people. You can start using analytics tools to see how your posts are performing. LinkedIn is great for taking a look at some of your posts and performing and how your audience and who your audience is coming from. Um, and also, I encourage you to be adaptable. If certain things are really scoring well with your audience, but certain things aren't, maybe it's time to kind of adapt and say, I shouldn't do this, but I should do this. So take a look at that as well. And finally, not finally, but one of the biggest things, let me go back here. Along these lines, I'm making an Azure specific slide, but like I said, folks, this applies for everything. So you can make this leveraging AWS for your brand, leveraging GCP for your brand, leveraging cybersecurity for your brand, whatever it is. If you're doing Azure or AWS and you want posts, if you want content to talk about, if you want things to post on your LinkedIn profile, if you want things to talk about, um, there's some really good ones out there, people. And the biggest ones right there, the biggest bull in the China shop is highlighting the importance of what certifications have done for you. They validate your skills. Now, certifications are not everything, but I try and tell everybody there needs to be a starting point. So I'm telling people when I do my cloud basics learning pathway, pick a cloud first, Azure, AWS, or GCP. Take that very first entry level exam. And then, like for Google, it's the digital leader. For AWS, it's the AZ900 Azure Cloud Fundamentals. They're not technical exams per se, a little bit of memorization, mostly just learning the concepts and what the cloud can do. But I want you to be able to benchmark your skills. If you're going to take 6 months to really study databases or security or artificial intelligence, it would behoove you, it would benefit you to go take a certification on that subject, whether it's the AI 900 for AI fundamentals in Azure, whether it's the AI 102, whether it's the new Azure Fabric one, I think, which is the DP 600, whatever it is. I encourage you to use Azure services, Azure certifications to validate your skills. I want you to host public projects using what you do. If it's Azure, AWS, or GCP, if you're trying to create something for cybersecurity, build, manage, deploy apps that can be a testament to your skills. Share stories that you see about other leaders or influencers that you followed who successfully boosted their brand or their skills or their careers, and focus on how they communicate their expertise and achievements. What's the old saying here? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. It's the truth. There are certain people out there who are on YouTube, on Discord, not Discord, YouTube, on Twitter, on other platforms that have done very, very well. If something works for them, it can work for you. You're not going to copy it, but you're going to emulate it. So people out there like Network Chuck, some of my friends out there like over at KevTech and Dakota over at Bearded IT Dad and Caleb over at Bad Tech, Bad Panda Tech. Apologies, Caleb. I'm sorry about that one. I just completely spaced out there for a minute. But these are the important people. If this works for them, it can work for you. So I advise you to create content that is in demand right now, whether it's writing, whether it's tutorials, whether it's videos like this. You can host your own webinars, host your own workshops. Everyone wants to hear an opinion. Maybe it goes over well, maybe it doesn't, but it also goes on your online resume and shows prospective employers, prospective clients, your peers that you're making an effort to continuously learn, continuously adapt, and upgrade yourself. Apologies if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. Jeez. Um, let's look at just specifically what you can do to develop your personal brand. I want to give you a little step-by-step plan to kind of develop your plan here. So number one, and this is key here, self-assessment. I want you to identify your strengths, your passions, minus coffee, and the unique value you bring to your industry. I want you to then define your brand. Define a brand statement. What do you stand for? What's your professional purpose? How do you want to be perceived in your industry? And then I want you to set clear goals. We're going to go back to the old SMART thing. S is for specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is relevant, and T is time bound goals for your personal brand. As I said, there's a bunch of tools you can use out there, professional websites, portfolios, social media platforms are huge. We all know how important social media is nowadays. Sometimes it's too important. Different content creation tools. You can go out there and use ChatGPT. You can use Canva. You can use a ton of other free products that are out there. And I'm going to create a couple videos for free items to use out there. As I said, my goal here as the big bald Azure guy is to show you free or very inexpensive ways to do this stuff to really further your career because we need as many good people as possible in this industry. That's the way I look at it. And then, like I said, you need to build your online presence, have a consistent online identity. You need to have an engagement strategy. You need to figure out, are you going to comment on other blogs? Are you going to share relevant content? Are you going to participate in online discussions? And the biggest thing is professional networks and community engagements. Make sure you talk to others, make sure they can talk to you. We all know the benefits we talked about being active on GitHub, LinkedIn. There's other sites like Stack Overflow. The specific cloud computing forums like AWS and Azure and GCP, their community forums are great. I would advise you if you're going to do regular content, like I said, have a consistent schedule, create a calendar in your own personal life. Because I'm going to post every Monday or every Wednesday. For me, it's every Saturday I'm going to stream live no matter what. Anything else I get in the meantime is gravy. But I will be streaming every Saturday live for your benefit and for my benefit too, because I love doing it. Work on having your own kind of communication style that reflects your brand and how you want to resonate with your audience. Like I said, do you want to be silly? Do you want to be funny? Do you want to be professional? You want to talk as fast as I do? God, I hope not. And also, like I said, monitor what's working, monitor what's not, and adapt when you have to. And then by the end of this, you have so what I want you to do out of this is if this is something that interests you, here's my call to action. I want you to build your own personal branding action plan. I want you to take immediate action. I want you to start either creating or update your LinkedIn profile. I want you to start a blog. And I want you to start crafting your personal brand. Send me a chat in LinkedIn. Send me a comment send me a link in the comments below here in this video, and tell me where it is. I want to view it. I want to take a look at it, and you know what? Maybe we'll review it here on one of the future videos. Just a few quick practical tips I want to cover with you. Do's and don'ts. Let's just say, do share your insights, your projects, your achievements related to what you're doing on your professional networks like LinkedIn and GitHub. Do actively participate. Do use professional imagery. Like I said, professional headshot doesn't have to be professional, but you just take a picture up against a blank wall, take your camera, do the reverse selfie, have a nice little smile or an angry photo, whatever you want. I got a couple ones I use for grumpy days. But it makes a big difference. If it's a grainy image or a 20-year-old photo, people don't know who you are. They can't resonate with that. Customize your public profile. Tailor your LinkedIn headline. Tailor your GitHub bio and your other media bios to reflect your unique value proposition and expertise in your sector. And like I said, stay updated, stay relevant, update your skills, update your certs, especially in fast technologies like cloud. 5 quick don'ts. Don't over promote yourself. It's tough. You don't want to focus solely on self promotion, but you want to balance your kind of contributions between showcasing your work and then contributing insights to your community. Ask for feedback. If you think you're talking up yourself too much, ask one of your buddies, ask one of your friends and say, you know what do you think? Um, Number two, don't neglect your online presence. Don't set up a profile and then don't use it. One of the biggest detriments to finding a job or maintaining an online presence is setting something up and then abandoning it. If you're going to abandon something, delete it. Now, we all know there's no way you can really delete anything from the internet nowadays, but if you're going to have something online, make sure you're going to use it. Um, as I said, avoid inconsistency in your branding. Don't use different tones, different styles, different images. Consistency is key for building a recognized brand. And don't ignore the power of networking. Comment on post. Share your interesting finds. Congratulate others on their achievements. I don't know how many times a day I see people, hey, I passed this exam. Hey, I passed this degree. I obtained my master's degree. Just a quick congratulations is all it takes. It takes you 5 seconds to write it. And people are really thankful. It shows that you do care. Um, a final one. I used to be guilty of this, not in my online writing, but in doing presentations for my jobs. Don't techno babble speak without explanation. I could say the words personal branding, but somebody who doesn't know what it is, they're not going to know what the heck I'm talking about. Um, don't overuse technical jargon without certain context. Showcase your expertise, but don't talk above people's heads. If you're going to talk about databases, use the Feynman technique. We're going to have another video about that one, learning methods, how to do that. The Feynman technique says if you want to really learn something, be able to teach it to somebody who doesn't know anything about it. That's a little bit dumbed down, but that's basically what it is. You should be able to talk to somebody who has, like, my wife is in the medical field. I'm in the technology field. I don't understand half of what she does for work, but she can explain to me so I understand it. And I'm the same way. She may not understand what I do for my job on a daily basis, but I can explain it to her in a way she can understand it. It's not dumbing things down, it's making them accessible to all. So, whatever you're doing, make sure you make your content accessible for all. Or in my case, I'm splitting up my newsletter. I'm doing a Azure newsletter for beginners and an Azure newsletter for experts. I encourage everyone to read both. But the important thing to remember is write for your audience. That's the biggest key here. So anyway, let me open the floor for questions here. Anybody else has any questions? Otherwise, we're going to call this a wrap. There's not a whole lot. If you have any questions, please put them in the stream here and put some comments in here. I'd love to hear them. And we'll give it about an extra 30 to 60 seconds. A lot of this is just share and do, guys. I love this kind of stuff. I want to make sure that it's all accessible to everybody here. Have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on TopMate. I'm always available. It looks like it's going to be a quiet stream, but for myself, for Trixie in the background here, I appreciate you joining us. This has been a lot of fun for me. As I said, next week at 8 o'clock Eastern on the 16th, we're going to jump in and we're going to have the first of 6 consecutive sessions for the AZ900 Azure Fundamentals exam. We're going to have 5 weeks of learning. 6th week will be live question and answer session, pop quizzes, tests. Make sure you're ready, test taking tips, all that kind of fun stuff. I look forward to seeing you then. If there's anything else, like I said, please contact me. I have a lot of fun doing this. Hope you all have a great weekend. I'll catch you later.